We were standing around there and Hitler came in, couldn't say himself Heil Hitler, so he gave a normal kind of greeting and then the conference began.
General Warlimont was one of those present. He spoke to the BBC in 1967.
And suddenly the door opened again and quite unconsciously I turned around and saw that a colonel came in with the uniform of general staff. His right eye was covered by a black patch. One arm was cut.
Been amputated.
And he stood there quite erect. And he seemed to me just a picture of a classical soldier. And Hitler turned around and looked at him without any kind of benevolence. And Keitel introduced him, telling him that this was the Colonel Stauffenberg of the replacement army. I remember too that Stauffenberg had a big black briefcase under his but I didn't observe that he put his briefcase under the table, and I hadn't seen that he left the room shortly afterwards. Perhaps some 5, 6 or 10 minutes passed. I had all forgotten about him when the explosion took place.
Stauffenberg saw the explosion as he left the compound to head for Berlin. He was sure that Hitler was dead.
When the bomb went off, I just had this feeling that a big chandelier had fallen upon my head. I went down. I saw already, and I remember it very clearly, how Hitler was led out of the room, supported on the arm of Keitel. And my first impression was that he was not wounded at all, or at least not seriously.
When it became clear that the Führer had survived, the attempted takeover of Berlin fell apart. Stauffenberg and the other leading conspirators were arrested and shot. Hitler himself went on the radio to address the nation.
I heard reports on the radio that an attempt on Hitler's life had taken place. Something about a small criminal and stupid clique of officers. And I wanted to know what had gone on. And the grown-ups tried to keep me away from the radio. And I and my brother were sent on a long walk with my great uncle, my grandmother's brother, who was in fact a member of the plot and was eventually tried and hanged, Count Uexküll. It was actually on the next day that my mother took my next youngest brother and me aside and told us, she said that it was actually Puppy who had laid the bomb. I said, but why could he do it? Why could he attack the front? And then she said, well, he believed he had to do this for Germany. It was a total shock. Couldn't believe it. The attack on the Führer. We were brought up in school and everywhere else, to believe that the Führer was a wonderful man, And then there was not much time for discussing this because she was arrested. They came at night, the Gestapo. Next morning my mother was gone, while we were asleep.
In the aftermath of the plot, thousands were arrested and executed for their alleged connection to the resistance, including several members of the Stauffenberg family. Berthold's mother was taken to a Gestapo prison at the Ravensbrück concentration camp. The children were sent to a Nazi children's home. They were only reunited after the war. Berthold Schenk Graf von Stauffenberg went on to become a general in the West German army.
For me, there's no question that the plot has saved a little of the honor of Germany that otherwise would have gone completely.
Berthold von Stauffenberg was speaking to Alex last. We have some other truly amazing first-hand testimony from World War II on our website, including a woman who's with Hitler in his Berlin bunker until the very end. Search for BBC Witness History Collections. Next, confronting danger of a different kind. This is from more recent times, and the force to be reckoned with is that of big business interests. In the 1980s, the indigenous people of the rainforests of Sarawak in Malaysia on the island of Borneo led a protest against the commercial logging that was destroying their environment at a terrifying rate. Their campaign would make headlines all over the world, but at a huge personal cost. Lucy Burns has been hearing from Mutang Urud, one of the spokespeople for the movement.
Once upon a time, all of Southeast Asia was carpeted in deep pile rainforest, the lungs of the world, harbouring a fabulous variety of plants and animals. Today, the best of what remains is to be found in Malaysia.
How could you not know that it is your land? I mean, whenever you want something, you just go into the forest, you just go into the rivers, fishing, hunting, and, it's like our supermarket. We get everything that we need from the rainforest.
This is Mutang Urud. He grew up as a member of the Kelabit ethnic group deep in the Borneo rainforest. The Kelabit were settled. They lived in villages and had contact with the outside world. Their children went to school. But they were also in regular contact with their neighbours, the Penan, a group who were fully nomadic, living off the rainforest.
They would come once a year, twice a year to trade with us for rice and shotgun pellets for them to go hunting. And we trade with them as well, cider and meat and baskets and all that. And you notice them because they are like so skimpily dressed. And it was quite a sad scene to see them when they come in, actually. Really uncamp-like and very brutal means. It was a hard life.
But today, this prehistoric landscape is being removed. It's being turned into excursion areas for building sites in Japan or do-it-yourself stores in Britain.
The owner of the timber company, he was a minister of environment, came and promised a lot of things to our people.